What are some of the mistakes you made when you first started doing cold outreach?
Even the copy, if it's like totally 100% brilliant, if the headline is not good at all, you won't catch their attention. Try 100 times before you admit the failure for any kind of like outreach or follow up.
What are some of the things you're excited about trying to further improve your cold outreach?
I think always offering value in every touch point. We're trying one thing right now, right? We just included the
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SalesRobot Customer of the Week, a new show where we interview the best SalesRobot customers and go deep into their tactics, including tips on targeting, personalization, and messaging, so that you can take away some tips and implement it in your cold outreach starting tomorrow. Today on the show, we have Jeremiah and Vatsal from Emerge Global. Welcome to the show, gents.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, let's get right into it. What does your business do and how do you make money?
Great question. We are a high-level service where we help people scale their voices, their valuation, their vision, and then also their funding. And that's a high-level explanation. We amplify global thought leadership. We offer business consulting. That's a fractional C-suite model, but pretty much end-to-end concierge service. And then we also offer VC funding opportunities. Again, end-to-end concierge service.
Awesome. So what kind of clients do you typically work with? Like, what's your sweet spot?
Great question. Vatsal, you have extensive experience in developing our ICPs. Do you want to tackle this or do you want me to?
I'll take this on forward, Jeremiah. So sort of mostly in terms of if we talk about the ideal customer persona, so we work with like founders and executive of like big firms. So even if we talk about like big firms, like companies which have like more than 5,000 employees or 10,000 employees plus, which are based out of like, let's say Silicon Valley or the eastern coast of US mostly, and also in the GCC region, as we see that the GCC region is coming out like much more in terms of like different entrepreneurs and also like businesses which are growing really rapidly in the world right now. So if we talk about the customers, I think moreover like founders, executives, people who have been on like board of directors, who have been like C-suites experts over like last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So we can say that that's the sweet spot for our customers.
Awesome. That sounds good. So with that, I will not bury the lead. I'll talk about the campaign that got you guys on here. It's called the California We Do campaign. And I'll first share my screen and show the stats so that everybody can be amazed for a little bit. So this was the campaign. I think you started it about 9 months ago. I can see that the acceptance rate is really high. The average acceptance rate is close to 15 to 20%. So 33% is high. And the reply rate is phenomenal. Again, the average reply rate on the platform is anywhere between 15 to 20%. So 44.7%, you guys really knocked it out of the park. So congratulations on this campaign, first of all.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get in deeper into the campaign. Do you remember who this was targeting? What was the tactic here?
Vatsal, was this global thought leadership?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
Great. So basically talking about the targeting audience for this campaign, sort of, as we were mostly focusing on the C-suite experts and founders and CEOs from the California region. And if we can also say into the current job title, we have like CEOs, VPs, managing directors, founders, people who have like a lot of experience. And what we also tried for this campaign is, first of all, like not have anyone who are in like stealth startup or those kind of companies. Because if we target from Sales Navigator, like there are options where you can add in your profile that you are a startup founder so that it does not like misalign with the kind of audience that we are targeting. So moreover, that was the ICP for this campaign.
Yeah, no, I love this. And this is something for our audience to learn from. The exclusions are super important, right? Otherwise, you'll end up with a lot of people who are not fit for your service because they're in stealth or they don't really have anything worth talking about right now. So I love the exclusions. And I love that you've removed the entry level in training or managers. And the other thing I think you've done brilliantly, I don't think you talked about this, is the schools, right? If they went to a top tier school like Stanford or Harvard or Wharton or MIT, then they're obviously much more likely to be a fit for your services.
And let me add to that really quick, Swav. For example, this is for the Global Thought Leadership, which is like our TED Talks, our Davos Talks, our keynotes, podcasts. We usually start with TED because that's probably the most well-known of the names and the most, I would say, probably credible stage in the world. That's like our lead magnet. Yeah, and so that helps us kind of bring in the lead. Then, and let me actually add, we were at a TED event at Harvard earlier this year, and someone just approached me just just again off the cachet of the TED event, and that I'm there coaching one of our speakers from Dubai, bringing her out to Harvard, where she just graduated from in the kind of the professional business program. And I was just approached for business consulting because again, that's one of our offers. But we find that our offer for global thought leadership, let's call it TED Talks, securing TED Talks for people, it's a minimum 10,000 entry. And so it's a high ticket item, but if your offer is great enough, like it'll bring people in. And I think that that is proof to like the way that we wrote the copy and how our follow up is. Like we have a cadence. If you follow up within the first 5 minutes, for example, you're 90% more likely to secure that lead. So we have our kind of like our built in best practices. But I think with the offer, if the offer is solid enough, it'll just push people through the value ladder. So for example, the in person version of this at Harvard, this gentleman approached me with his family business. They're making like 500 million ARR and they want to scale to like 2 billion ARR. So he met me at the TED Talk, again, lead magnet as it were, and then he approached me on the business consulting offer. And it's a similar thing right here. Once we engage someone with a let's say a tasty enough, an enticing enough offer, the offer is everything. If the offer is, we call it an irresistible offer, a courtesy of Alex Hormozy, if you're familiar. Yeah, great. By the way, his new book just came out today. It's $100 million Moneymakers. So it's like his third book in the trilogy. So I highly recommend. I'm like plugging him on your podcast for me. But we do a lot of best practices for the offer from his $100 million offers. And so I would say a big part of the success of this campaign was the offer, building the offer itself.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And combine a great offer with these proven list building tactics where you're only targeting the premier schools and you're also doing just the second degree connections. So that when you're reaching out, they see that you have connections in common. I think these tactics they just work on top of each other, right? Like combine a great offer with great targeting. And obviously we'll get into your messaging in a little bit. I think that's how you end up making not just a successful campaign, but also like real money on the back of a campaign.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. So that's on the targeting. Again, great job here, guys. I think this is one of the best tactics I've ever seen. So kudos here. So let's go into the messaging now. One of the things I really like about your messaging before I let you guys talk too much is your use of the advanced variables that we have. I've not seen a lot of people use it. I don't know why, because maybe they don't have the time to get into our advanced capabilities, but you do. So kudos here. But yeah, I'll let you talk to me about about your messaging strategy or sequencing strategy.
Watson, do you want to jump in there?
Great. Sure, Jeremiah. Okay, so talking about the messaging sequence, I think we start very simply, like starting from viewing the profile of the person so that they get a notification saying that, okay, someone viewed your profile. And of course, like if someone comes into my profile as well, they view my profile, it creates a natural response that, okay, let's see who is this person. Then making sure that your LinkedIn profile also is very strongly built. Because if someone is viewing your profile and you go to your profile and see their profile being such a strong built profile, it automatically creates like a kind of magnetism around that. Okay, what is this person doing? Why is he like viewing for me? Is he basically qualifying me for something? And then once you have that thought, when it starts coming into the person's head, then you basically approach them. And if you can see, I think the feature also, the specific tag that you mentioned was the mutual connection. So if I'm reaching to you, Saurabh, for example, like, hey, Saurabh, I recently discovered that we shared mutual connection. This person has a connection. So it becomes much more like personalized rather than just approaching someone like, hey, want to jump up for a quick chat or something like. So making it like much more personalized as possible. And post that, once we start getting the reply of the person, you can also see there we have added some steps in between, like the most recent posts, so that you're basically engaging with the person, even if you're not sending them the message on the same day. Because we know like 40 for a cold outreach, like let's say 24 to 48 hours is a sweet spot. You don't want to keep like bothering them all the time as well with your message, but at the same time having steps like their most recent post or follow them, this creates like kind of back and forth with the person as well. And I think majorly in the messaging sequence also, if we see, we are not like offering them directly that uh, this is the offer, we want to provide you a service. It's more of like relation building and trying to present our offer in a way that it comes up much more as a really strong thing and which can benefit them, which is valuable to them, and which can take them basically to the next step. It's not just about like selling, but I think moreover, we were trying throughout this message series was to build a relationship with the person. And there is also one thing that I like to put here. So there was this person who said me, I think like one and a half year ago when we were working on this sequence, like the major goal for any kind of cold outreach is not to get a positive response from the person. It's mainly to just get a reply from the person, because you are doing a cold outreach. And the moment you start getting replies from the person, then you can start the conversation and take the conversation in any way possible. So I think that was the major goal that we are trying to do. Like just trying to get a reply from the person, whether it be a positive or a negative reply.
That's right.
I find sort of, thank you for that, Watsal. I also find sort of that many people who are in business are focused on the business, and I think that that's great. But you have to be, I would say, emotionally intelligent. A couple of books, EQ 2.0 and Sales EQ, great book, highly recommend them. Also, another book that's kind of like a mandatory reading for anybody who's incoming into our team. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. Great book, great TED Talk companion. Obviously, TED Talk speaker. So we promote. That being said, is that you're building this relationship from a point of service, which is to say, if you elevate service, you take it into hospitality. If you do that, then you're building the relationship and you're not asking them for something. We don't even know these people yet, right?
Yeah.
So we want to build that relationship to then make an ask. But when we do make the ask, we offer a gift in return. So one ask, one gift, one ask, one gift. And we find that and usually leading with the gift. Yeah, the gift is first and foremost. Be of service, offer value first. Someone might think like, oh my gosh, well, I'm giving so many things away for free. Okay,
Right.
great. Give it away for free until people start to see your name and brand synonymous with extreme value. And then people will instantly, pay you for, you're speaking to you. Like Tony Robbins is like $2 million to speak with him for an hour, and
Right.
he's got like 2-year waiting list, so you just increase your value or perceived value, but you have to do that one relationship at a time. And I think the way that we do it is we elevate service to hospitality, and then it doesn't become about the offer. So we've already built the offer to be irresistible. It becomes about we're interested in you. We want to know what you're doing today, Saurav. We want to know, like, oh, we want you to know that we looked at your article on LinkedIn and we liked it and we commented on it. Oh, and by the way, we went and looked at your website and we really see some synergy right here with what we're doing and another client of ours. Like, for example, we connected two of our clients, Michelle and Dan. Dan just went public, 1 billion valuation, this next level AI company out of Silicon Valley. And he just went public last week. He's been in IPO for like since January. And then one of our other clients, Michelle, who is like a master at scaling in the CTO seat. He is like master of that, that whole kind of series of systems. We put them two together. We're not taking like a commission off of that, but obviously there's synergy there. We'll work together in some way. But I think if you give and you give and you give, people start to see like, okay, they're not just after to take something from me. And I think even if it's subconscious, then that's the best way to go. And it hits us emotionally. And I think that's one thing that founders and executives and business people need to be conscious of, is that most people make decisions off of emotion, and so you want to provide them with a positive emotional experience. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love the thought process, and I love how that distills into your messaging as well. Because I was reading your messaging before we got on, and there's a couple of things I would like to highlight which are amazing, right? First of all, the way you crafted that irresistible offer and the way you positioned it in this message, like this is what, this barely, I would say, like 50 odd words, right? And then it's all about them, right? You're looking for exceptional leaders to step onto the TED stage, and then it's all about their story and their brand, right? And then this is where you just position it to just get a reply, like what Vatsal said, like you may be eligible. The doubt here is key, right? You're not saying you are definitely eligible. You're not saying, hey, we have a service that will, elevate your brand 1,000 times, or some, unreasonable claim that looks fake, right? The way you phrased it is brilliant, right? And that's where you're just making it a good, sort of a introductory message. And the other thing I really liked is in the follow up, right? One of the things that I teach personally when people are writing copy is addressing something called hidden objections, right? When somebody doesn't reply to you, there might be a hidden objection that they might have. Like, for example, in your case, the hidden objection would be, what is this call about? Would I get sold something on the call, or would I get an aggressive sales experience? So you're making it very easy for them and saying, hey, just to clarify, there's just a quick conversation to assess your eligibility. If you're not eligible yet, there's still a path, right? We can discuss how we can, help you get there in the future. So this to me is a masterpiece in like addressing hidden objections as well. And that is one of the reasons why this works so well, because combine, punch one and punch two, in total you're achieving like almost like a 18% reply rate in just these two messages. So this is a masterpiece.
Well, thank you. So, a masterpiece. Wow. Well done, Watson. Well done. Teamwork makes a dream work. I also want to say that if you make it quick, like a quick 15-minute call, where it's almost like a throwaway, like, oh, yeah, sure, I can find 15 minutes. If you hold, but you have to be a man, woman, person of your word. You keep that 15 minutes unless they want to go over. If they want to extend it, but I would even say, even then, you only extend a little bit because you want to be respectful of the most precious resource, which is time. We
Yeah.
can't buy any more of it. We can't get it back. You can make more money always, but you can't make more time. And so I think when you like smart goals, when you make it specific, measurable, etc., like you put a number value to it of time, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. And when we go from let's say the 15-minute discovery call into the intake session, which is an hour, I tell them, I'm like, it's going to be 1 hour, so you're going to want to look at your calendar and block out that time, but it's going to be a comprehensive, we're going to give you a 10-page document afterward, so they know that they're getting value for whatever metric of time, because many people equate an hour of time to a particular, let's say, rate of pay or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love this. I love this. And then let's go into the rest of the sequence before we wrap up. So, like the most recent post again, and I think there's three more messages in the sequence. So, this one is where I think you're going deeper into why they need to pay attention to, TED Talks. And this is less about a pitch for your service, more about a sort of a semi pitch for what TED Talks can do for them, right? So, talk me through this message, maybe Vatsal or Jeremiah, if you want.
Watson, go ahead.
Great. So for this message, like once you have started sharing someone, like you are assessing their eligibility and they are still not responding back to you. So it might be that, okay, they are not getting some kind of proofs or they are not seeing much value. So for this message, what we are simply trying to do is, first of all, just give a brief introduction on like how speaking at a TED Talk can influence and boost their global brand, and then just included a couple of like client example. Like I've worked with many clients, helping them find their authentic voice, and then just addressing few of like client related testimonials type of examples here.
Awesome. No, this is great. And again, a great job of addressing a hidden objection. Like, what if they're shy, right? There's a lot of people's problems with public speaking, right? Like they're shy. So you're actually addressing this as well. So one of the things I love about Vatsal's copywriting and your copywriting guys here is the way you address hidden objections. So I'm coming back to that again and again.
Well, all of this is available online for any ICP. Any ICP, and I would say, like, to your audience, look at like core human traits. Like, look at primary drives according to Maslow. Look at Maslow's hierarchy of need. Like, the psychology of human beings hasn't changed for like 10,000 years. You know what I mean? Like, look at that and write the copy. Hidden objectives, we also would refer to them as like problem solution rewards, like according to Donald Miller, story branding, like using the hero's journey but as marketing copy. So we write our one-liners, our story brand one-liners according to Donald Miller, and then we adapt it to your format here. So we're getting ahead of the problem and the rewards. Like, what can this do for you based on statistics and data that the number one fear of people, even more than dying and flying in a plane, is public speaking. This is like one fear for people. So we tap into that because we know that more chances than not that someone's going to have that fear or even an adjacent fear of it. And I can go on and on about that. But yes, we get ahead of the problem and we kind of get into the rewards and the results that this would do for you. But we touch on the problem.
Absolutely. So with that, you just go into, again, one of the clarifications. And then the final one is just following up on the previous messages. Are you available? Yeah. So talk me through this one. Till, is this about like leaving them with something of value, like the booklet?
Exactly, yes. So this is where we also like give them a like quick gift that, okay, see, this is something about the TED Talk development strategic roadmap that we will work with you and which might inspire you. Also, if you see in this worksheet, there are a lot of like TED Talks that we have shared of the previous great TED Talk examples as well. So from this, they can also see like how these persons they delivered a TED Talk and what stage of their life they are at right now. So you can see that, okay, this is the present state and this is something that I can be in my future as well. So you can see a lot of really popular TED Talks from like Simon Sinek, Dwayne Brown. Then we have like Amy Cuddy as well and Sir Ken Robinson, a lot of them.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I've read Angela Lee's Grit, and like these are all amazing.
Great book, right? Great TED talk too. I think this is that offering value up front, offering value up front. And honestly, if it's your expertise, whatever your expertise, we're just talking about TED right now, but we could do this with business consulting, venture capital. We could do this across the board. You know it inside and out. And so coming up with these little one sheets, it literally would take you maybe 10 minutes all in. Like you go on ChatGPT, you put in your expertise, ask it to format it, then put that into a Canva document. Probably you don't even need to do that anymore because of like all the things with Gemini, like it's just so effortless now that it's like a crime not to. Like I look at people's decks for venture capital now and I'm like, one, you can use the AI tools. So I think offer value up front. It's never been easier. Never.
Awesome.
Yes.
With that, let's go into the final couple of questions. What are some of the mistakes you made when you first started doing cold outreach?
Oh my gosh. Like doing the opposite of everything we just said. Like asking for the meeting up front and asking them if they want to be a TED speaker today, right now. We'll do a 30-minute session as opposed to a 15-minute session. That's what you like that?
Yeah, writing like very long copies, basically, which were never even read by the person. So that is like one thing, like keep it concise because people, and make sure that the headline that you are giving to the copy is very like succinct because that is the only thing that is going to catch their attention, nothing else. Even the copy, if it's like totally 100% brilliant, if the headline is not good at all, you won't catch their attention. And I think basically, yeah, reaching out to like wrong people who are not even your ICT. So that will also create a lot of friction.
And budget. You need to identify budget upfront. Like that has to be in the ICP. Use your BANT criteria, folks. Budget is first in there for a reason. Like obviously in the conversation, you may not lead with budget, but you kind of warm into that conversation. It'll take you a couple minutes to get into it in a 15-minute conversation, but they will open it like 80% will open based on just the headline. So there's a whole podcast from Alex Hormozy on headlines alone. I highly recommend watching it. And once we optimize that, and we do a lot of A/B testing as well. So you have to test these things, and I think that's where we've been able to like kernely we tested too. We're like, okay, who's going to open what, and we'll just kind of like blind send it to one another. So I think do that. Do a soft little test before you do a big campaign. You're going to save money. You're going to have more bang for your buck, as it were. And I highly recommend like refine your pitch, like refine what you would say, and then ask ChatGPT to turn that into written copy. So that way it's almost colloquial, like that is to say a conversation, someone speaking, but also not so short that it's like text message unprofessional. You know what I mean?
The sweet spot. Awesome.
Sweet spot.
That brings me to my final question. What are some of the things you're excited about trying to further improve your cold outreach?
Oh my gosh, I think we're trying one thing right now, right? We just included the email and LinkedIn. I think that doing that together is going to be very useful, and the messaging is a bit different in each, So I think always offering value in every touch point. You're giving some kind of not just information about the offer, but you're giving the offer and something else. Watson, what would you like to add?
I think yes. And also trying to basically keep filtering your ICT because you never know, like within if a person whom you reached out like 3 months before, they might not be a best fit for your offer at that time, but situations might have changed in 3 months time. And so like reach out to people again. So like retargeting is never a bad idea. Like keep targeting again and again. And there is this also another book which we were reading last week and discussing within the team, like try 100 times before you admit the failure for any kind of like outreach or follow up. And till the moment you are following up is never a bad idea. Just keep following up with the person as well and make sure that you are succinct to the point and not just and basically offering value as Sharma mentioned earlier.
What was that book, Watson?
That was I think $1 Million Weekend by Noah.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
We read at least one book a week. I cannot recommend enough the reading. You have to read because Warren Buffett would say he would read a book a week and he would say, even if I just got one idea from that book, it could transform everything. And it is so true. We do twice a week. Members from our team, Wednesdays and Fridays, will present what they've read that week. And so I can't recommend that enough because we wouldn't have learned about the headers. We wouldn't have learned about the retargeting. And when I say learned about it, I mean in depth. Like in depth things that actually work, not just like cursory knowledge. I watched one podcast and now I know it, or I heard this at a networking event and someone said the words retargeting and so I would say like in-depth learning, kind of committing to a lifelong process of learning. And I would also say I'm gonna drop this in our Zoom chat for you here, Saurav. Really refining what the like one-liner is. Refine your one-liner, because if you can refine your one-liner, I think your pitch, a written pitch, your verbal pitch, and so we've optimized these one-liners, and we've already been starting to use this in our new campaigns, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how these are going to work both in the LinkedIn and in the email, and then when we bring them into the discovery call, the sales call, how these one-liners are going to work there too. Yeah.
Awesome. This was a really, really delightful conversation. And I love getting people like you guys on who really have gone through those stages of failing, writing bad messages, and then going into that journey and then getting great messages out. So it has been an absolute pleasure. So for the people who want to find more about you online, where can they find you?
They can go to emergeglobal.us. I'll also drop our link in the Zoom chat, and you can put this in the description. Yeah, and feel free to share those one-liners as well. They can use those to kind of craft their own, and then they can learn more about us on our website. But also they can reach out to us at support@emergeglobal.us. So same domain and just support at, and then we'll respond.
Awesome. Thank you guys again for making the time. Let's get on with your day.
Saurav, thank you so much.
Shut up.
Been great.